Alright, picking up where we left off in the last video, I got a couple more parts I got to attach here. The hood, which looks like it's attached right now, it's just kind of set on there. It just gets held in place by these pins and the way it rests on everything. So I need to attach that. There's the little red switch that goes here, which I've talked about many times. Need to attach that there. And then there's a little piece that goes under the corner of the hood that goes right here. So if I have this on, it goes like in this little gap right here. And then there's a piece that goes on the top, but that's not going to get attached. I still have to get the stuff in to deal with it. And then this piece has the lens in it. It's not actually attached, it just comes out. The lens is in here. So, and then there's a piece that goes in here, but that's not going to get put on until the very end after we're done weathering and everything. That'll get stuck on. Just like the lenses and the eyepieces that go in here, they're not going to get stuck on until the very end. So let's attach those, the switch, the little piece, and the hood, and then we got to do a protective coating on all the parts that are going to get weathered. Alright guys, well that's that glue's setting up. Just wanted to, talk about this coronavirus thing for a second. I just hope everybody's doing well and not going stir crazy. I know we're only a few days into it and it's going to be a while is what it looks like, maybe. We don't really know. I mean, we all got to live through this, so. Anyways, I just want everybody to be safe and, wash your hands and do the smart things, Anyway, I'm going to probably do a lot of like smaller projects just to put videos out. I know it would be more entertaining if you have something new to watch often, and the few people that do watch me probably would appreciate it. So I'm thinking of you guys. Yeah, stay safe. Alright, so I was just looking at some reference photos again because I never stopped looking. I noticed another thing I got to do. It's the eyepieces. The inner part on the inside there needs to be black. Just noticed it. So yeah, I'm gonna hand paint those black. I'm not gonna use anything fancy. I'm just gonna use a Tamiya black. Alright, so paint's dry now. I'm gonna now do a clear coat, and I'm gonna use Pledge Floor Care to do that clear coat. Used to be called Future. It's good stuff. You don't have to thin it. You just squirt some in your airbrush and you can coat it on whatever, and it's a nice shiny durable coat. One little tip I do on painting is most of the time I try to do all my paint colors, flat colors, and then I do a clear gloss over the top if I want a gloss over it. The reason why is you can tell when flat paint is dry because it's flat. Whereas gloss paint, you can't really tell when it's dry. You just gotta set it down and walk away for a long time and hope when you come back it's set up. Anyways, I'm gonna just do the clear on one side and walk away for this exact same reason, is I won't be able to tell if it's done or not. And I don't want to put my thumbprint or fingerprints anywhere on that. clear, shiny gloss coat. So I'm just going to do part of it, let it sit, and then we'll do the rest of it. Alright, so now we gotta play the waiting game and let it dry. I don't know if you can tell, if I can get an angle on it. It's a little bit shinier. Alright, so the great thing about this stuff is it is super cheap, and you get a lot of it. This will last forever. I think I paid $10 for this bottle. I've used that much, and I think it was, it's full to the top there. I've built several models. I've used it for several things, and I've only used that much. So, yeah, a little bit goes a long way in an airbrush, but especially when you have that much, it just lasts forever. Great thing about it is it's easy to clean up. Just takes water. Downside is it's clear, so it's hard to tell if you got it all. Hello, compressor. Goodbye, compressor. So yeah, where was I? I never talked about why I'm putting the clear coat on there. And the reason why is because I don't want the paint of or any of the weathering to be affecting the paint underneath. So I'm going to put this clear coat on, and all the weathering is going to sit on that clear coat. I'm not that worried about it being shiny because I'm going to be putting flat paints over the top of it, like misting them over. It's going to take that dullness. And it's not totally dull. Like, the prop isn't completely dull. It's got patches that you can see where it's a little bit shinier plastic. Probably not gloss, but probably satin. So we'll be able to simulate that pretty easily with a misting of other flat paints and stuff like that. And I got plenty of stuff to put on this thing still, so I'm not too worried. Anyways, be back in a minute. We'll do more clear coating. It's been about 4 or 5 hours. Let's check it out. Okay, we do have a little sheen going on that side. We can see it sometimes. That's good. It should be dry. It's dry. We're good. I'm gonna spray some more. Yeah, we're gonna let it dry, and we're gonna do it again. One more time. Round 3. Alright, so one part I have not dealt with is this guy that's sitting on the top of the Electro Binoculars. And it needs to look like it's aluminum or metal, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a light shade of gray, and then I'm going to rub graphite powder on it. and that should make it look pretty metal. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to start off by painting this the lighter gray because I want it to be kind of a lighter color, and then tomorrow I'm going to rub the graphite powder all over it. Alright, it's the next morning. Let's rub a little graphite powder on that top piece. Alright, I've got this graphite dry lubricant 44 micron powder. It's military grade. I don't think that matters. I'm just gonna put a little out here. So I'm going to try and get these inserts fitted. This one is a bit small. It's real loose in the hole there. This one fits nice and snug. It stays put. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little tape around this to snug it up. Alright, so now that that part is actually done and dealt with, it's actually time to do the primary weathering. If we look at reference photos of the actual prop, we see a lot of different kinds of weathering, a lot of different colors. There's the kind of warm tones that are kind of the dirty buildup that you see, like, I don't know, if you look around like the edge doors or like light switches, things like that, where you'll see like dirt, but like there's a clean part where it's been rubbed away on the side. You know, you kind of see that kind of stuff. So it's like kind of dirty. It's not quite white. It's kind of brownish a little bit, but like real light. We're gonna simulate that. There's also some speckling on there where they just kind of spritzed some paint on there. There's some chipping, obviously. But yeah, and another thing is, like, none of these things are just one color. You know, you don't just do, you know, dark gray or black for spritzing. You do a couple different colors. I'm going to do some mist coats over the whole thing. You know, probably 2 or 3 different colors, and I'm going to build them up in different places and different colors, so at different points they shine through more for one color than another. So I think I'm going to start with the spritzing some paint over it. I need to give it some all-around big dirt, and then I'm going to mist over the top of it. That way I kind of mute those little dots down a little bit. So I'm going to do a little practice run with some spritzing, and then I'll actually spritz it onto the actual binoculars. So I threw a little mask on the hood here just to show kind of a rough edge and different areas that are getting hit with different colors. So I did just a Tamiya black that was super thin down, and it doesn't look like black dots. They're kind of grayish. The next color I'm going to do another spritz is, where did it go? I'm going to do concrete. It's just kind of a warmish, whitish, grayish type color. Yeah, so we'll do that one now. Made my little slurry here. I'm just going to use the same dirty toothbrush. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to soak it in, and that's too much. So you just got to press it. I like to give it a couple spritzes off camera to get most of it off, and then I'm gonna do this. Kind of hold it away. Well, that glove's toast. All right, so I'm gonna be using these 4 colors to do weathering. They are all pretty similar in color. I don't know if they pick up on camera very well, but I got SP lettering gray, grime light, and concrete, which I just used to spritz a little bit. Concrete's the darkest out of all these. I've used grime before on a model for weathering, and it is a wonderful color. It really helps like mute things down, but all these I'm going to thin down pretty thin, and put them on like real light coats and build up the color slowly. So let's go. Alright, here we are. I've kind of gone through and wiped a little thinner on a paper towel and kind of rubbed off some of the weathering on the tops that would kind of simulate, somebody holding onto it. They'd rub that off, and just kind of smudged it around a little bit. I would kind of rub the top, where rub points would be. Did the same thing too, like these rings. I had a little bit of masking on them, but then I just kind of went and smudged them up to make them kind of dirty and splotchy, because you always see it kind of like worn off in places and chipped up. I did the same thing to the eyepieces, kind of rubbed off the top surface because that's where it would rub. They would sit back in here. So really, I'm pretty much done at this point. I could do a little chipping, which I'm tempted to do down here. Debating on if I just want to paint it on or actually just chip it. Multiple ways I could chip it. I could chip it with like a little grinding bit, or just an X-Acto knife would probably do. Alright, one thing I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and assemble the rest of it. Put the front lens on, put the little clear cylinder thing on the front, put the lenses in, actually glue all this stuff in, because I can do chipping after those are all put on. So let's put the rest of it together and see what we think. Okay, one thing I've discovered I don't like that these are white on the inside. So I'm not going to paint them at this point, but I will just use some graphite powder and rub that in there. Kind of a cool unplanned effect is using that graphite powder. Now it kind of looks like a metal tube in there, so that's kind of neat. It's darker, doesn't stand out as much too, so that's cool. Alright, so I am going to do a little bit of chipping on this. Specifically, I'm going to do it kind of down here on the bottom corners, kind of where they would set and rest. We don't have any real good photos of the bottom of Luke's. We can kind of see a few chips like on that corner and one on the opposite corner on the bottom. And so I'm going to simulate those. I'm going to try doing it with just an X-Acto blade at first. I've also thought about taking outside and kind of tapping it on the cement on those two corners a little bit. Might do that. Both things are a little cringy. I could also use my flex shaft tool here with like a little grinding bit or something, and just kind of, grind a little bit away. But I'm going to try X-Acto knife first, so let's see what happens. Alright, I'm actually super happy with the way that turned out. It looks very natural because it's real chipping, hard to beat the real thing instead of like trying to fake it. I think this part's done. There's one last little thing we got to do. We got to make a strap for it. I'm not going to do anything fancy to this leather, I don't think. I don't have leather dyes or anything. But I am just going to tie it off real quick. I do have to cut the end off because it's a little weird. It's got a hole in it. So I'm going to chop that off and then I'm going to knot each end and it'll be done. Okay, it's done. Put a couple little scrapes here, little scrapes there, kind of points where it would set on and bump into and rest when they're picking up, setting it down, things like that. Even put a couple here on the top, just because it should probably have a few. Got the neck strap on here. It's all weathered up. Looks pretty good. I think anyway. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does it look good? I like it. I hope Ian likes it. Anyways, check out the blog, propchopshop.com. I'm going to update that here pretty soon, and it'll have some new pictures on it and of the prop finished. I've kind of neglected the post and the blog in general for a while. Got all this free time now. Just kidding. I really don't. But yeah, let me leave you guys with some final completed shots, and I'll see you next time.